Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So first of all, I'd like to thank those people that commented on my video yesterday explaining the phrase that I couldn't think of. I do have those blank moments at the moment caused by the brain issues I've been having recently. No shame is the phrase. Somebody actually just replied with no shame to my video, and I was very confused. I was like, what have I done wrong? I'm sorry. But he was explaining the phrase, so I appreciate that. Anyway, let's move on to Saturday's racing. We're looking at Cheltenham, a couple of races at Doncaster, and talk about a shambles of a race at Lingfield. Starting off with the analysis for Cheltenham, and in the first race we are going to be on Arnulf, who's got the tongue tie on for the Skeltons. Now, the reason I like Arnulf here is I'm hoping Dan Skelton knows what he's got. What I mean by that is he had the second behind One Horse Town last time out. Now, I actually feel Precious Man should have won at Cheltenham, beating One Horse Town. Dan Skelton could go, okay, we know where Precious Man is in terms of the ability and how far he finished behind One Horse Town. But we think Arnulf is significantly better than Precious Man. And if that's true, you would hope that Arnulf could beat One Horse Town. These are the sort of form lines that trainers should be using, and I do think that Dan Skelton does use this one. As I've mentioned before, I think he goes and buys horses or speaks to owners about moving horses to his yard when he has a horse that he thinks is very well handicapped that goes and gets beat by one of those, a horse that finishes in front. A bit like Cabral de Matan. He's also done it with another one from the Smiths. I can't think who it is at the moment. But yeah, he keeps getting horses from different owners, bringing them to his yard because they beat one of his, and he's like, well, mine's good, this must be even better, so I want to train that. So I'm hoping he's kind of used the same sort of angle, but for his own horse here. He goes, look, I've got Arnulf back at home. Arnulf is significantly better than Precious Man. When we can take on One Horse Town in that juvenile hurdle at Cheltenham, we will beat him because Arnulf is significantly better than a horse that finished second to him. That's the angle I've got here. I think the other interesting one is the Nicky Henderson, Nicky de Boinville trained McShadow de Cray, who could be anything from France, but he's not come over from France with super form. He wasn't winning all those races over in France. His best effort probably came when finishing 4th of 4 behind MacToad. Now obviously that MacToad looked very good at Sandown, but McShadow de Cray was 4th of 4. It may have just turned into a bit of a mess, a bit of a sprint, and that's the reason he got so close. So One Horse Town's likely to go forward. I'm hoping that Harry doesn't sit as far back on Arnulf. I'm hoping he doesn't give him the educational ride that Harry does. When Harry gives a horse an educational ride, he drops him out the back, comes through late on, tries to teach the horse to finish strongly. Nicky de Boinville does it very differently. He's just done it on Calafé and Vol. That is very frustrating. He jumps out, he gets horses positively positioned, but then allows horses to run away from him without actually making an effort. Go and watch that race at Cheltenham recently, Calafé and Vol against 6 Mile Bridge. Jumped the second last or the third last, jumped the third last pretty much alongside, maybe half a length down. Keelan Wood starts pushing away on 6 Mile Bridge on the inside. Nico sits there, but 6 Mile Bridge actually goes away from him, and yet Nico still hasn't moved. And that's what he does. He I don't want to be asking this horse at any point until really near the end of the race if I'm still in contention. If I'm not, then that's my educational ride on the horse. I feel like that's not the right way to go. I think the Skelton way is better. Make the horse finish strongly and run on eye-catchingly, and annoying for punters, as is the Nicky de Boinville way. But I kind of feel the Harry Skelton one teaches them better than the Nicky de Boinville one. So anyway, that's what I'm hoping Harry does. Doesn't sit as far back on Arnulf, because he's not just educating Arnulf, he actually wants to win the race. We can currently see that One Horse Town is the 2-1 favourite, and Arnulf is available at 9-2. I'm hoping that Arnulf gets really well supported tomorrow and maybe can start challenging for favouritism. Get £7 from One Horse Town, obviously, because One Horse Town has won. Yeah, just keep him involved, 4th or 5th sort of thing, and I'd be much happier than if Skelton decides to drop this one right out the back. Moving on to the 1240, which is a 3 mile 1 Novices handicap chase, and I'm really surprised at the price of the one that we like here. The horse we like here is Risque de Pluie, who's bizarrely, in my opinion, 25 to 1, maybe even outside of the field. I don't think his efforts have been that bad. The step up in trip I thought worked at Lingfield. I thought he ran a really nice race behind No Tackle. No Tackle bounced back with the visor back on. He was winning a race at Leicester over the 2 mile 6. This was No Tackle off 102. Won it really comfortably with the visor on. Then disappointed with the visor on at Sandown, but probably in a better race. They then dropped him back to 2 mile, which didn't suit. And they took the visor off, They dropped him back to 2 mile 5 and took the visor off. That didn't work. On his return, they put it back on and it sparked him back up again. Risque de Pluie ran a nice race for second. Over the 2 mile 6, I think the trip definitely brought out improvement. So with that in mind, I hope a little bit further brings out a bit more improvement for the 6-year-old. He's only 6. Granted, there are a few other 6-year-olds in this race, but I just feel that he's overpriced. He's not as bad as... His form isn't as bad as it is made out. Doesn't have a lot of weight to carry. Can go forward. I don't mind him being right up there, maybe just behind the pace. You know, the trip would be the unknown, but I think it's a positive unknown. I'm hoping he turns into a bit of a revelation over this trip, like Salva did. Granted, he's not going to get to the level of Salva, but Salva massively improved for going up to 3 mile for the Gary Moore team. Sometimes the trainers do get their trips wrong for the horses, and hopefully this is one of those. Risque de Pluie going up again to 3 mile can really push on from his return this season. We'll move on to the 115, the 2.5 mile handicap chase, mare's handicap chase. Now, I'm hoping that the drop back in trip isn't a negative, or isn't too much of a negative for the One We Dream Of. Now, the One We Dream Of is trained by Dan Skelton, obviously, and was a very good performance on debut for the stable 2 runs ago, when finishing a decent second behind Some Spring Special over 2 mile 3. Then went up in trip, went up to 3 miles and was a good winner over 3 miles. So the only negative really is the drop back in trip. We obviously know that Dan knows how to win with 2.5 mile mares, because he's done it recently with Panic Attack. She then went on to win the Coral Gold Cup, and I'm hoping that Dan goes, okay, this horse is pretty good at that as well. Let's go and win a mare's handicap chase. That's what Panic Attack won, and then see where we can go with the One We Dream Of. I thought the 2.5 mile, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. He can be a bit more prominent than he usually is. He knows she's going to get the trip. You know, the trip isn't an issue, so he can be very positive on her and keep her involved rather than dropping out the back and running on strongly. If he gets involved and he sits, you know, in the top 4 or 5, I think he can go very close there on a horse who will be staying on strongly up the hill. So that's the One We Dream Of, who is available at 11 to 2. Moving on to the 150, I'm going to keep this one brief. We know who it is. Ho Jolly Smoke. Been a supporter of this horse for a little while now. Ran 2 perfectly respectable races on his 2 runs so far this season. The first one over 3 mile was probably too far. He just got tired late on. 2.5 looked ideal at Cheltenham last time out. Beaten by Panic Attack that Harry switched to. Harry's back on Ho Jolly Smoke. I think he goes really well here. Priced accordingly. Little bit of weakness in him. 5s. But I think he'll go really close here. 225. is the 2 mile handicap chase, where I'm hoping Country Mile can keep the Skelton form going. What have we already put up? 4 Skeltons, I think. 1, 2, 3. This will be our 4th Dan Skelton runner. Hopefully Dan can have a really good day tomorrow then. 2 miles, I think, will suit him. We obviously know he's got some really nice form at 2 miles, including on the new course at Cheltenham. I think that's the big key piece of form here. Very, very impressive winner last year over 2 mile in a novice hurdle, beating Wingman on this new course. Wingman has since went on to finish 2nd at Leopardstown in a Grade 1, ended up running in the Albert Bartlett, bit disappointing there, but went off 6-1 for that. Came out and finished 2nd to Final Demand, has finished 3rd to Predators Gold and Slade Steel, recently when sent off the 5-4 favourite. He's got some really nice form, Wingman. Country Mile beat him so comfortably at this track. On this new course, I think that's the key here. Country Mile was last seen running on the old course, which maybe didn't suit him. This new course definitely suits him, and this is only a handicap. This isn't a graded race, it's only a handicap. If he's going to win a handicap, I certainly think this could be it. Available at 6s, just 11-2 in most places. I think he's the one with the most potential in this race, and the one who, if he bounces back to his best, and his best performance so far in their careers, I think Country Mile has the best bit of form when beating Wingman very, very comfortably. Move on to the 3 o'clock at Cheltenham. The Albert Bartlett. Oh dear. We're going for another Harry Skelton, Dan Skelton horse. Again, on the basis of this, do they know what they've got? So, Conman John was last seen winning here, beating Great Fleet. Again, Dan Skelton should know. Okay, Conman John beat Great Fleet. Great Fleet is good, but we think Carlin Rig is significantly better. If that's true, then Carlin Rig should go very, very close here. That's the sort of angles trainers should be using. I know what I've got, I know what horse can beat that horse, because this horse is better than that horse, etc. So, you know, I've already explained this angle really. Conman John does look a very nice horse. Conman John is the favourite. Carlin Rig is as big as 13-2. If we've got that right in terms of Dan and Harry know what they've got, and it is at one that's better than Conman John, that could look a very silly price tomorrow. 3:35. Is this another Skelton? No. Oh, it is as well. Oh, wow. I'm really on the Skelton's team tomorrow. I've got another one coming as well. Nurse Susan. Back here at Cheltenham, she's got some really nice form. She's won a mare's handicap hurdle off 125. It was actually this one in 2023. She won it off 125. She's only rated 127 now. After winning that, she went and won another handicap hurdle off 129 over a trip that was probably too far. After what was it? 12, 13, 14 months off the track, she came back for the Martin Pipe under Tristan Durrell and ran a really big race for a long way. I actually thought she was going to go really close turning in. She just got tired late on and ended up finishing a well-beaten 11th. Fitness is what beat her that day. She bounced next time out in April, off a mark of 132. She was running at Cheltenham, ran that really big race off 133. And then her return at Carlisle, always held up, never involved. That was the run of a horse getting fit. What were they getting her fit for? Hopefully returning to this race. When she won this race, she was sent off 11-2. She's currently available at 8s tomorrow. I think that's pretty fair, to be honest. Yes, Jubilee Alpha should have won last time out, beating Sweet Caroline, made a bit of a mess of it, but she does have to give a lot of weight away. She's rated 141, she carries 12 stone. Everything else carries 11 stone or less. Nurse Susan is the next one in at 11 stone. There's a few out of the handicap here. Lagoon Nebula and Pismo Beach are both out of the handicap. I think if Nurse Susan does step forward from her return, she's going to take all of the beating. I honestly think she can beat Jubilee Alpha. 12.55, not a Skelton runner, which is good. The 12.55, we like Spade Step. Now, we've actually been looking out for this horse for a little while after his effort when second at Aintree behind Jordan's Cross. Now, that form should have been franked last time out when Jordan's Cross went to Cheltenham and was going to win when falling at the second last, I think it was. Actually runs tomorrow. Could win that tomorrow as well, Jordan's Cross. If he does, obviously this form looks even better. Spade Step finished second that day when doing too much. Just set it up for Jordan's Cross that day. I really like the effort of Spade Step. This doesn't look as strong. This doesn't look as deep. I don't think there is a Jordan's Cross in this race at Doncaster. Let's just check the prices. It's the 12.55. No prices currently. I'm hoping rumours are flying might make the market in that he won last time out, whereas Spade Step didn't. I honestly think anything around 6-4 or bigger for Spade Step would be very fair. Final race that I have a selection in is the 205 at Doncaster. And we're back to that old team again. The Skelton team, this time ridden by Harry Atkins, who takes a very useful £7 off. Now, Joya Machan returned this season with a prep run at Chepstow in a race that Dan was doing it with, lots of them. He was getting prep runs into them. Then had wind surgery, then turned up for the Betfair Exchange Stayers Handicap Hurdle. I think he was there to run a big race, but ended up not being the number one for the Skeltons. That became Ace of Spades, who finished fourth. Joya Machan never really got involved that day. That was off 137, but I thought he would go close. He's dropped another couple of pound here to 135 in a significantly easier race, in my opinion. With Harry riding, taking that 7 off again, I think he can run a really nice race here. I think he's going to go really close. On his first run over fences, that would be the only concern. But I'm sure they haven't just turned up here and gone, we don't even know if he can jump. I'm sure they've given the horse plenty of schooling. And at sevens, I think it's a decent price. We've got to remember, last time he ran off this mark, he actually went off the 3-1 favourite for a feature handicap at Uttoxeter and got caught on the line when Harry, or Dan Skelton said Harry got there far too soon, ended up getting mugged on the line by Red Risk. A return to that bit of form, and Harry can get there a little bit later. The other Harry, this is, Harry Atkins. I think Joya Machan does go really close here. Couple more very quickly to talk about. The 240. Notice that Katira is up to 3 mile for the mare's listed race. She'd been randomly entered in a race a couple of weeks ago for a 2 mile. Didn't understand that. Thought maybe they were trying to get the handicap. She ended up not running. She should take all of the beating there. And the absolute shambles of a race is this one here. The 11.42, the Chasing Excellence Beginner's Chase. 3 runners, all trained by Gary and Josh Moore. Hansard will win it. I think Officer of State will finish second and Tater Hills will finish third. Absolute mess of a race. But anyway, they're my selections for tomorrow. Let's do a very quick nap next best and third best. We will go for... We've got to go the nap as being Ho Jolly Smoke. The next best will be Country Mile. And my third best is going to be Nurse Susan. Are they all Dan Skeltons? They are indeed. Dan Skelton, Harry Skelton. Bring it on.